God is that bloodthirsty. I don't think that's a God I want to believe in.
Then don't believe in him. Those of us who cannot speak Arabic are not able to understand God's clearest revelation. How tragic is that?
Let me continue. You're getting like pissed and angry and cutting me.
You keep cutting me off.
No, you're accusing him. Of course he's going to respond. You don't want to convert us?
You don't want to convert us?
No.
You don't want me to become Muslim?
Honestly, I really don't care.
The conversation opens with a deeply emotional objection, not merely against Christian theology, but against the very character of God as it is being presented. The accusation that God is bloodthirsty reveals a moral discomfort that many people feel when they first encounter the Christian doctrine of substitutionary atonement. This moment is important because it exposes a fundamental misunderstanding. The issue is not whether God enjoys sacrifice, but whether justice itself can exist without cost. What we are witnessing here is not a casual disagreement, but the collision of two radically different views of justice, forgiveness, and moral accountability. The frustration rising in the exchange signals that the discussion has moved beyond abstract philosophy into something personal. When beliefs touch questions of guilt, responsibility, and moral debt, emotions naturally surface. That tension sets the stage for what follows.
How is it morally okay for someone else to be dying for my sins? Why can't God forgive me on his own?
God can forgive you. God can forgive you. But God has chosen to be just, to be the judge, and the penalty for sin is death. Someone's got to pay the death penalty for my sin.
Why?
Why? Because God has said, when I devalue you by cheating you, lying to you, stealing from you, that is really wrong. And the consequence of my doing that to you is I deserve death. Now, either I'm going to pay that death penalty, or the judge is going to take my place, and that's what Christ claimed to be doing, to be the judge, God, taking my place, giving his life for me.
Here, the conversation briefly pauses to clarify roles and intentions. Accusations of conversion attempts often emerge in interfaith dialogue, especially when deeply held beliefs are challenged. Yet this moment highlights something essential. Honest disagreement is not the same as coercion. The presence of disagreement alone does not imply manipulation or hostility. Cliffe's long experience in public dialogue becomes relevant precisely here. University campuses are environments where ideas collide freely, and where claims must stand on their coherence rather than emotional force. This context helps explain why the conversation continues despite rising tension, because both sides believe that truth matters enough to be tested openly.
God is that bloodthirsty. I don't think that's a God I want to believe in.
Then don't believe in him.
Why shouldn't I pay?
Good. And according to Christ, you do pay. Or you accept Christ's payment when he died on a cross for what you did wrong, for what I did wrong.
How is that fair to Christ?
How is it fair to Christ?
Towards all?
Pardon?
Isn't God just towards all?
Is God, I'm sorry?
Just towards all.
Yes, God is just. That's his character. His character is just. When I sin against you, what I'm saying is you don't have value. I can use you, I can lie to you, I can cheat you, I can steal from you.
What begins as a calm exchange about salvation soon transforms into a confrontation marked by suspicion and emotional escalation. This shift is not accidental. When core beliefs are challenged, especially beliefs tied to identity, culture, and eternal destiny, defensiveness often replaces curiosity. The entrance of a second voice intensifies that dynamic, amplifying the sense of confrontation. This is precisely why careful theological reflection is necessary. Beneath the raised voices are competing visions of truth itself, whether truth is something objective that must be discovered or something personal that cannot be questioned by outsiders. Understanding this distinction will be critical as the discussion moves forward.
And that's a statement. You're not very valuable. So when I do that kind of thing to you, not only am I devaluing you, denigrating you, but I'm also devaluing God and saying, you didn't do a good job when you made this guy.
But you're still avoiding the question that, am I not demeaning God by saying that he had to die for my sins? Can
No.
he forgive me and have his mercy on his own?
No, the reason you're not demeaning God is because God chose to be just, consistently just, as you pointed out. But then the question is, how does he forgive? Is forgiveness simply excusing wrong? Is forgiveness overlooking wrong? Is forgiveness acting like, oh, boys will be boys, Nazis will be Nazis, Hamas will be Hamas, Israel will be Israel? It's all relative.
Forgiveness is God's mercy.
Well, how does God forgive?
God forgives because God can see what's in our hearts. When we stand in front of God and seek forgiveness, God knows how genuine we are. God knows whether or not we intend to go back to that. That's the basis of God's forgiveness. That if you stand in front of God and you're asking God alone and you're accepting Him and you're seeking that forgiveness, God can see inside your heart. And you may go back to that sin, but God saw what was in your heart and He chose to forgive you. Whether or not He chooses to forgive you, He knows your sincerity. Because God doesn't need anyone paying. God's mercy is enough. God understands me, He knows me, He's closer to me than anyone else can in terms of understanding.
At this point, the conversation reaches its theological core. The question being asked is not merely emotional, it is profoundly moral. Can justice exist if guilt is transferred? Can forgiveness be real if no penalty is paid? These are not uniquely Christian questions. They are questions every justice system must answer in some form. Christian theology insists that forgiveness without justice is not mercy but indifference. If wrongdoing carries no consequence, then moral evil becomes trivial. The claim being made here is that God's forgiveness is meaningful precisely because He does not abandon justice, but fulfills it.
Okay, but how do you know the mind of God? How do you know that God says what you just said?
Because God gave me a book with that information.
What's the book?
The Quran.
The Quran. Okay, why do you trust the Quran to tell you the truth about God?
Because the Quran is factual in many places. If it's ambiguous a few places, then I believe that. Because I see the authenticity of the Quran. You can't show me two different versions and say these are both from God. I only see one version. When I see 10 different versions, I question, is this coming from God? How do we have 10 versions? Did God write this, or did the believers of God write this? Did they change it? But when I only see one version, and I can show you the change of authenticity, then I believe in it.
Uh-huh. Come on, you're smart enough to have heard about 𝗖𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗁. You know very, very well why there's one version of the Quran, I hope. Okay? You know what Uthman did, Caliph Uthman did.
What did he do?
He destroyed all the forms of the Quran that disagreed with the one that he chose through 𝗖𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗁.
How are you going to prove that?
Well, it's a historical fact. Just study history. You know very well that the third caliph, Caliph Uthman, had all the different Qurans that weren't identical gathered together, and he said, 𝗖𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗁, you are the one to decide what is the real thing, because you're the best source of information. Fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I got a real intellectual problem with you. Well, sorry, just study your history.
I studied it. You're wrong.
Well, then you haven't studied it closely enough, because 𝗖𝗿𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗁 was hired and employed by the third caliph, Uthman, to do that.
Compiled the Quran, to bring it into writing, to bring it together.
It already had been in writing, and there were different forms of it. And Caliph Uthman said, you go out and you're going to make the real one, and we're going to destroy the other ones. It's a historical fact, sir. Don't take it from me.
So
study the history.
Fact?
Pardon?
Who defines historical fact? Do you define historical fact?
No. The eyewitnesses. Are there eyewitnesses who recorded what really happened? And that really happened.
Where are the eyewitnesses?
Well, obviously they're all dead now. The same way the eyewitnesses for Jesus Christ are all dead now.
You have to take your word for it.
No, you don't have to take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Go out and study it on your own. Do not take my word for it. You'd be an idiot, sir, to take my word for it.
Fair enough.
Don't do it, okay? Just be open-minded and honest and study this history.
This explanation reframes sin not as a minor personal failure, but as an act of moral devaluation. To sin against another person is to declare, implicitly, that their dignity does not matter. In Christian theology, this is not merely an offense against humanity, but against God Himself, who is the source of human value. The idea that the judge would take the place of the guilty challenges our instincts, but it also exposes the depth of divine love being claimed. Justice is not ignored. The debt is not erased. It is paid at great cost by the one who has the authority to judge. The accusation resurfaces, but now it stands in sharper contrast to the explanation just given. Christianity does not claim that God demands blood for pleasure, but that moral reality itself demands accountability. The cross is presented not as cruelty, but as self-sacrifice. This moment forces a choice that Christianity never avoids. Either one bears the full weight of moral guilt alone, or one accepts a payment made by God himself. There is no third option offered. That clarity, while uncomfortable, is central to the Christian claim.
But let's be real honest. You have made a gigantic faith leap, not based on evidence, based on a blind commitment that the Quran is the Word of God. Not only that, in order to understand that Word of God, that miracle, accurately, you've got to speak Arabic.
You know why that is?
You tell me why. I'd love to hear that explanation.
When you preserve the original language, no one can change the meaning through translation.
Yeah.
I figure out the meaning myself.
Yeah. Isn't it tragic that those of us who cannot speak Arabic are not able to understand God's clearest revelation? How tragic is that?
There are many English.
How biased is that? Jesus Christ is not for one nation. Where's the center of Islam? It's the same place it's been since the 600s. Where's the center of Christianity? Started in Jerusalem, went up to Antioch, went down to Egypt, went up to Eastern Europe, then Western Europe, then the United States. Where is the center of Christianity today?
Rome.
Where?
Rome.
No.
The Vatican.
No. The vast majority of followers of Christ live in China, Asia, Africa, South America. You see, faith in Christ is not for one race. Faith in Christ is not for one language. Faith in Christ is for the world. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Jesus Christ is not for one race, one language, or one people group. He is for the world, and he loves every single one.
The accusation resurfaces, but now it stands in sharper contrast to the explanation just given. Christianity does not claim that God demands blood for pleasure, but that moral reality itself demands accountability. The cross is presented not as cruelty, but as self-sacrifice. This moment forces a choice that Christianity never avoids. Either one bears the full weight of moral guilt alone, or one accepts a payment made by God himself. There is no third option offered. That clarity, while uncomfortable, is central to the Christian claim. The question of fairness now turns inward. If justice is preserved, is mercy then unjust to the one who pays? Christianity answers this by grounding the sacrifice in God's own will. Christ is not a victim trapped by injustice. He is the willing expression of divine justice and mercy united. Justice in this framework is not abandoned. It is fulfilled consistently, without exception, because the same God who judges is the one who bears the cost. Here, the discussion reaches a critical moral insight that is often overlooked. Sin in Christian theology is not merely rule-breaking. It is relational destruction. To lie, to steal, to exploit another person is to declare, implicitly, that their worth does not matter. And because human dignity is rooted in God's creative act, every moral offense ultimately becomes a statement about God himself. The objection raised is subtle, but important. Does the cross demean God by suggesting he must suffer in order to forgive? Christianity answers decisively that it does not. On the contrary, the cross magnifies God's character. It shows a God who refuses to compromise justice, yet refuses to abandon mercy. This is not weakness. This is moral consistency carried to its ultimate cost.
So I'm gonna speak, and don't say like Christianity is for everyone and Islam like it's for one nation. This is like gaslighting a statement, you know?
I did not say that. You're misquoting me.
You just said
I never said, sir.
You just said, no, wait, sorry. Let me continue. You're getting like pissed and angry. I love all religion. I don't really care
I love
about
all people.
religion, you know? I'm a Muslim, but I don't really go, oh, Muslim, and you know, everything. I'm not perfect Muslim too, you know?
And I'm not a perfect Christian.
Yeah, here's the thing. But I know Islam doesn't really like specific for one nation, one Arabic, one like speaking
I never
language.
said that. You got to listen again. What I said was,
You guys like
in
me
order.
right now.
in order to grasp
it's your own
the
recording.
biggest miracle, fine, I will. In order to grasp, then let me correct my miscommunication. In order to grasp the miracle of Islam, which is the Quran, the miracle of Christianity is not the Bible. The miracle of Christianity is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But in Islam, in order to grasp the miracle, which is the Quran, the book, the holy book, in its purity, you have to speak Arabic. Yes,
Why
you
is that?
do.
Wait, let me
You
ask
know
let me-
that's
let me repeat the
false.
question. Why is that? Why? Is
Why?
That? Why?
Because the
So
understanding.
it can reserve in the God language that he intended to Prophet Muhammad, who is Arabic speaking.
You can't change it through translation.
So
You can't
no.
make it lose meaning.
So Quran is
Choose what you
translated
like
to
and
every language in this world with the meaning of the word. Don't like gaslight people here doesn't know what's going on with like you're saying like Quran is not only for one language and only for certain people. We came from different background. We came from different languages. And look at us.
Great.
You know? Yeah, you just said no. You said like people for me who speak Arabic. I'm from like very Arabic speaking country, and you just said like Islam is only for me.
No, I
that's what
did not say that. You misquoted me again. Let me say it a 10th time.
Wait.
The miracle of Islam is not Muhammad. The miracle of Islam is the Quran. And in order to understand and grasp the greatest miracle of Islam, which is the Quran, you have to speak Arabic.
First of
All I'm saying.
First of all, wait. First of all, if this is debate, you have to let me finish speaking.
And you're going to let me
You
finish
cut me
speaking.
in-
It's got to go both ways.
Okay.
Okay, go. You got the floor. Go.
I have Muslim friends from South America. I have Muslim friends from Europe.
So
have
do I.
Muslim... Okay, you just said yeah. This is you agree with your point. You said Christianity everywhere. Islam is for one nation, one language.
No, I did not. That is not what I said.
He said the center is in one area and it's remained predominantly in one area.
Yes, I
He
did.
never
I
said
certainly
for
did.
one
If
nation.
you said that,
That's
then
ethnocentric.
this
He wouldn't
is
say that.
like a journalism. Then I would say journalism is only for Christianity. You know, it's
No,
not.
that's not the point he was
And
making,
You
though.
said it moved to.
No.
Can I say
It's
No,
moved to
I've never heard him
Cairo
make that
and
point.
It's moved to Europe. Islam just like that. It's centered from Mecca. Then it's like way.
No,
way-
Mecca
Maybe
is still the
miscommunicated.
center.
Trust me, he didn't mean that. If he said it, he truly said. I've never heard him say that. I've known him for 35
Yeah,
years.
This is art of gaslighting. You are really expert at. If you want a true debate, I can see. I have a class right now, but don't gaslight people about wrong thing. Don't say like Islam is for one nation, one language. This is like.
Sir, I
ultimate
already clarified that.
Listen.
I am sorry if I said that Islam is for one nation. I
Keep cutting me.
apologize.
Keep cutting
I don't
me.
think I did.
Cutting me.
You keep cutting me off.
No, you're accusing him. Of course he's going to respond. You're accusing him for making that kind of
I'm
statement.
not getting best overthink.
This moment exposes the heart of the disagreement. Forgiveness is not a sentimental gesture. If forgiveness means pretending evil does not matter, then justice collapses into moral chaos. A world where atrocities are waved away in the name of mercy would not be a merciful world. It would be a corrupt one. Christian theology insists that forgiveness without justice is not love. It is indifference. And a God who merely overlooks evil would not be worthy of trust. The cross, therefore, is not an embarrassment to Christian belief. It is its moral anchor. Here, the Islamic concept of forgiveness is clearly articulated. Forgiveness grounded in sincerity of heart. At first glance, this appears compassionate and reasonable. Yet when examined carefully, it raises a serious moral problem. If sincerity alone determines forgiveness, then justice becomes subjective. Wrongdoing carries no necessary consequence beyond emotional regret. This view places moral authority not in objective justice, but in personal intention. And that shift has profound implications. The claim that mercy alone is sufficient sounds appealing, but it collapses under moral scrutiny. Forgiveness, in every meaningful context, carries a cost. When harm is done, someone must absorb the loss. The debt does not vanish simply because remorse exists. Christianity does not deny God's mercy. It explains how that mercy can exist without destroying justice. Mercy is not free, it is costly. And Christianity boldly states who pays that cost. This analogy brings theology into everyday reality. In real life, justice is never abstract. Damage demands repair. Loss demands compensation. To pretend otherwise is to deny how the world actually works. Christian theology applies this same moral logic to sin. God does not pretend evil never happened. He deals with it fully by bearing the cost himself. This example exposes the weakness of sincerity-based forgiveness. A judge who releases a murderer based solely on remorse is not merciful. He is unjust. Society instinctively understands this. Justice demands accountability, not emotional evaluation. If we would reject such a judge as corrupt, then we must ask why we would accept a concept of divine justice that functions the same way.
I don't care about like I do care like about my religion definitely, but I don't care like about other religion. Like there is nothing wrong in my. I only know what's right or wrong for me only. Like, I don't force people to do something else, you know. But in the same way, I don't like to be. No, I don't say like, yeah, you know, Christianity actually like don't like other people. Christianity did really bad stuff in the 80s, like not days like 800 something like in Europe and Middle East. Like they did lots like unsufferable stuff, and they keep doing. I don't lie about this stuff, you know. What I tell about truth about my religion, myself only. Don't gaslight people to something wrong that you actually not right about.
Do you want to convert us?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying. I'm not.
You don't want to convert us?
You don't want to convert us?
No.
No.
You don't want me to become Muslim?
Honestly, I really don't care. I really don't care.
Well, I do care.
Why? That's
I
not
care
loving
about
us.
you.
I have many
You're gonna
friends
love us
who
by
don't
wanting to
religion.
convert us.
I only care about myself at the end of the day.
That's
And I
sad.
told you, I'm not perfect Muslim.
Quran says there's one way to heaven.
No, because I know
One
this
way.
generation-
Can I say
this
one
generation-
thing?
And this shit, like, this is actually like, this I don't like to participate in religion debate and everything.
Well, then why are you
Because
doing
at
this?
the end of the day, because you was gaslighting people about my religion. You were saying.
I
like,
think you're
it's
just
not-
being very
He asked
sensitive.
me a
Overly
question. I'm
sensitive.
answering him.
No, I don't like to debate because at the end of the day, every individual human being is responsible for their own choices for all
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
say,
right.
don't say something wrong that you are definitely wrong religion. No, you will never see me that, and you will never see me lying
Yeah, but
about
you
other religions.
contradicted me, and I respect your right to contradict me. This is a university environment where we believe in the free exchange of different ideas, and that is good. And we respect each other in spite of the fact that we disagree. I respect her, him, whoever. And I respect you two guys.
This is the dividing line between the two worldviews. Christianity claims that God does not lower the moral standard to accommodate human weakness. He satisfies the standard himself. Justice remains intact. Mercy remains genuine. Nothing is ignored. Nothing is excused. This is why Christian forgiveness is not merely emotional. It is morally coherent. At this point, the conversation shifts from moral philosophy to epistemology, the question of how we know what we know about God. And this shift will expose an entirely different weakness, not in emotion, but in historical foundations. The appeal now turns to authority. The claim is simple. God has spoken, and his will is preserved in a book. But this immediately raises the next unavoidable question. Why trust that book? Here, belief is grounded not in external verification, but in personal confidence. Authenticity is asserted, not demonstrated. And that distinction matters because truth claims about God cannot rest solely on internal conviction. This objection sounds persuasive on the surface, but it misunderstands how historical reliability works. Uniformity does not equal authenticity, and diversity does not equal corruption. In fact, the opposite is often true. Here, history enters the discussion. The existence of a single Quranic text was not accidental, it was enforced. Alternative versions were eliminated through political authority. Uniformity was achieved by destruction, not preservation. This is a crucial admission. A text preserved by suppressing competing manuscripts is not preserved by miracle. It is preserved by power. That reality stands in sharp contrast to how the Bible came down through history. Christianity does not fear manuscript diversity because it possesses overwhelming evidence. Thousands of manuscripts allow scholars to compare, test, and confirm the original text with remarkable accuracy. Transparency strengthens confidence. This historical contrast matters. Christianity did not rely on political power to preserve its scriptures. It relied on testimony, transmission, and suffering. Its message survived persecution, not enforcement. And this brings us to a larger theological theme, universality. The charge is direct. Belief without evidence is not faith, it is assumption. And when eternal truth is at stake, assumptions are not enough. This point reveals a profound theological tension. A message claimed to be universal is locked behind a single language. Access to God's clearest revelation becomes unequal by design. Here, Christianity's claim stands in sharp contrast. Its miracle is not a book confined to one language, but a person who entered history for all humanity. From the beginning, Christianity crossed borders, languages, and cultures.
Let me just say one thing. You said
Yes.
two things, actually. First
Yeah.
of all, you asked if we want to convert you. The truth is, all we want to do is put our version of the message in front of you. And then God says in the Quran, there's no compulsion in religion. So all we do is we put the message across. We leave it up to you. Number two, I really appreciate what you said earlier because you proved my point. You said that the miracle of Christianity is Jesus and that the miracle of Islam is the Quran.
Right.
And that's a wonderful statement. And I couldn't love it more. Right? You know why that is?
Good.
Because Jesus was, according to your beliefs, in front of you at a certain point in time. You believe he was there in a human form in a certain point of time. And that miracle was there. And that proof was there. And you had all the reasons to believe. But I can prove to you that the preserved Quran is still in front of us. So my miracle is still there for me to prove people. Your miracle isn't standing in front of me, but I could pull out a Quran and show it to you.
Totally
That's
unconvincing.
why my objective
That's
morality.
not convincing at all.
That's your problem, but that's what I'll leave it
No,
with.
that's your
Thank
problem,
you.
man.
I don't-
Any
I'm not
Muslim's
interested in
problem.
circular debate, but it was nice talking to you.
Good to talk with you. Good to meet you. Good to talk with you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me?
Yes.
Okay, good talking with you. Remember that.
And remember, don't gaslight people wrong about something that you know.
Don't spread misinformation.
I'm
We
not
understand.
spreading any misinformation.
If you believe Christianity is true, and this is your right to believe it's true, you don't have to lie about other religions.
I'm not lying about any other
You
religion.
just did. You just
No, I did not. Thank you.
Yes, cancer awareness.
Good. Cancer awareness. Excellent.
Spread information, not misinformation.
Well, go and study it yourself. Don't take, I told you guys, don't take it from me.
History confirms this claim. The gospel moved outward naturally, without cultural restriction. It did not demand linguistic conformity. It invited trust. The accusation of bias misses the point. The issue is not ethnicity. It is accessibility. A divine message intended for the world should not require cultural conversion as a prerequisite for understanding. This final section exposes a philosophical contradiction. Claiming neutrality is itself a truth claim. Saying everyone chooses their own path is still a worldview, one that rejects objective truth. True tolerance does not deny truth. It allows disagreement without hatred. Christianity does not force belief, but it does proclaim truth openly, because love that stays silent is not love at all. The claim of preservation fails to persuade, because a preserved object without divine action proves nothing. Preservation alone is not miracle. Truth must be demonstrated, not merely displayed. And with that, the conversation draws to a close, not with hostility, but with clarity. The final words return the discussion to its true purpose. This was never about humiliation or dominance. It was about truth, justice, and love. Christianity does not claim moral superiority through argument, but through sacrifice. And so the question remains, not rhetorical, but deeply personal. What does forgiveness cost? And who is willing to pay it? Christianity offers a God who does not excuse evil, but defeats it through love.